Okay, thank you all for coming this afternoon. My fellow panelists are asking me to ask you to please come forward so that we can be an intimate group, but it's up to you if you want to do that or not. I want to start by thanking you for coming to this great event. We have...
I don't know if it's working.
Is this one? Yeah. We are today here in the presence of one of the Arab world's greatest contemporary writers, Ms. Hoda Barakat, who is, as I mentioned, one of the Arab world's greatest writers and intellectuals today. She has received much recognition in the Arab world, Europe, and the US. She is a recipient of the prestigious Najib Mahfouz Award for Literature, and her recent novel, Kingdom of This Earth, Malakut Hadhihi al-Ard, has been shortlisted for the Arabic Booker Prize in 2012. She's best known for her powerful novels, which strip both identities and politics in the Arab world to their core. And most of her novels are set during or after the Lebanese Civil War, which often function as a background to her work. Her 1990 Hajar al-Dahek, Stone of Laughter, of which most of you are familiar, I'm sure, won the prestigious Al-Naqid Award. It brilliantly investigates the distorting consequences of war from a point of view of an androgynous man. Her 1993 Ahl al-Hawa, Disciples of Passion, extends the Lebanese narrative to a post-war era in which war is clearly still playing itself out within the national psyche. The 1998 Harith al-Miyah, Tiller of Waters, focuses on Beirut, a city that Barakat admits to both loving and hating, a city totally altered by the war experience. Barakat lives and writes in France, but writes in Arabic, mind you, since the Lebanese Civil War. She acquired a French citizenship, and also during her visit there has received lots of awards, including the Chevalier de l'Ordre d'Art et des Lettres in France in 2002, and the Chevalier de l'Ordre de Mérite National Merit in 2008 for her book Letters of a Stranger, Rasail al-Ghariba, which discusses issues of diaspora and hyphenated identities. All her novels so far, as some of you are aware of, have been focused on the Lebanese Civil War and centered around a male figure of sorts. You can ask her why, I guess. No. They're translated into at least 14 languages. With me tonight is our own Professor Mohammed Sawaie, Professor of Arabic Language, who will be my and Huda's interlocutor. And we envisioned this as an intimate discussion in which he will start asking her some questions, and I will do the same, and Huda will answer. And we'll do this for about 40 minutes and then open it to the public for your questions. We have the mic here for those who would like to ask questions, and Siri will help us by circulating this mic for you. Please start by identifying your name and yourself, and hopefully we'll do our best to either to translate or to answer your questions. And the Q&A afterwards, we can take your questions in English, French, or Arabic as you see fit. Okay? So we'll start, I think, by Professor Mohammed's question.
Thanks. My question is of a general nature, very general, actually. Traditionally, poetry was one of the most significant artistic expressions if not the most significant among Arabs. Hence the saying, "Ash-sha'r diwan al-Arab," in the sense that poetry reflected or reflects the Arab society, if you will, their life, traditions, values, etc. While poetry is still an important aspect of as an artistic expression, we observe that of late the novel has been replacing poetry, and poetry has been relegated to a secondary status. There's a plethora, an explosion of novelistic writing in the Arab world. All the countries in the Arab world, actually. Some of those works have acquired an international status, as Hanadi has mentioned. Some are probably just trashy works, and probably they will not be mentioned. Could you comment why the novel has been on the rise at the expense of poetry, if you agree or disagree?
I have to welcome you and ask you to be very indulgent with me, because my English is not it's bad, and I will try, I will try with the answer to the question of Dr. Mohammed. And this particular question is very complicated. So I don't think that the novel replaces the poetry in the Arab world. The prose, in fact, before the 16th was not existing really. We the poet has the word of poetry has in the Arab world a very special power. Since the Quran and since the very big poets of Islam, and they was the messenger of the
tribes. Tribes.
Yes.
Tribes.
Yes.
And until before this, the 16, the poetry has to have the same role. The poem has to express the spirit of the group and to defend the spirit of the group. And the group in the Arab world in this time, in the 60s before and 60s and 70s, was a word in ebullition and ebullition.
Yeah. It was boiling.
Boiling.
Yes.
Boiling. And it was boiling because the events, the politic events and the wars, الحروب, was a very big rhythm of our lives. So in this kind of war, we have to defend our point of view politics and the nation. So this poetry was very national and very political poetry. And after that, the prose take a place because the life of the Arab world, of the Arab people, become a prose. It become a kind of conscience of the individual.
Of the individual.
Individual. And only the individual can write a novel. It is not the voice of the people, not the voice of the party, not the voice of the group or the tribute. it is the voice of my word, my sufferness, my choices, and it become a word of prose when this الحماسة شو enthusiastic poetry is not anymore found really public. So maybe it is the point of the change from poetry, Arab, very big Arab poetry, to make a big importance for the prose, but it's not mean that poetry has now less importance.
Less importance. Okay. Thank you.
معقول الله الإنجليزي
Great.
تبعي.
This is great. I want to ask you a question that's more, concerned actually with the majority of your works. And as in, in your oeuvre, war and trauma are expressed on both the personal and the political level. In what way does war inform our understanding of the Arab citizens' multiple traumas?
You know, when I write, it's...
In your work.
Yes, when I have a project for writing novel in my head, I don't think about the Arab citizen or about how I can be useful for the readers. I have like a nightmare, push me to think that it's some peoples want to spoke to me and tell me their histoire.
Their story.
Their stories.
Yeah, we call it an
So
obsession, maybe, an obsession.
Yes,
that you have.
an obsession. So I start, when I start, I begin with something like a man, he want to tell me the things I don't know. So I start to listen, and I start, after that, maybe to دور عليه. Search for him.
You channel him.
Yes.
Or her. Well, him usually.
Him usually. But there is a her inside the him.
Yes.
But the politic level and the historical level, for me, it's come really in the deduction. يعني en déduction. I don't have a message, political message or historical, political issue to يعني انشرها بريشيه.
To publish, to impose on people.
لا نبشر فيها.
To propagandize,
تبشيرية.
propagate, yeah.
يعني to make people convinced with my ideas. I have no ideas.
It's not a
When
missionary style of writing. Yeah.
No, because I don't believe that the arts have to give the truth. There is no truth in the artistic expression. Not on the writing, and not on the painting, and not on the cinema. Normally, when it is good, the very small لا حقائق facts and vérité حقائق
truth.
very small truths become on this artistic expression. But my generation, through the Civil War, we have lessons that the people who try to pretend they have the truth are a very big assassins. So this kind of prose, it's like shakwa.
Complaint.
Like a complaint, but this complaint has to go very far from the individual writer. If it's come very far, other people, maybe in other countries and other languages, will see how we are identique, how similar, how we can under a very, very big malentendu, misunderstanding, they are connected, really. And it is not, when I talk about or from the civil war in Lebanon, I hope when someone read me, forget about Lebanon and forget about the civil war. It's like a very, it's like be in this kind of human condition of the extreme. It's not localized. When I read some very big experience of the other civilization, of the other times and the other languages, I feel that we are really brother. So maybe the civil war, for me, it's un point d'appui, يعني محل
point of departure.
Yes,
to
a
connect
point
with other cultures. And
yes, يعني to go after that,
further.
behind
Go further.
the local situation. And I'm comforted when I see that if I'm traduced at the language translated in the other languages who never have a civil war, but they have this deeply souffrance and traumatism about the violence. So maybe it is not the war, but the violence. And the violence, how much we, human beings, can go far away. How much we can create monsters. So it's, bon. Look at.
Thank you so much. She's exhausted talking English.
English.
We have just begun.
That's why we have water and coffee.
Okay. Sawaie.
My next question, I think you have partially answered some of it, but in the Arab world, where illiteracy is about 70% in some Arab countries. Yeah.
Yes.
And who reads novels in the Arab world? Why do writers write novels? And the question also is, what role do novelists play in such a society?
I personally, I don't have any role to play. But you are right, because it's really a very big problem. Because for me, writing in Arabic, it's a choice, and it is not a very facile,
it's not an
easy choice, because maybe if I am able to write in French, because I study French from And I make my high studies in French, and I have to learn Arabic by myself, because in our Beirut college, it wasn't important that to know our mother language, because in Beirut we are fascinated by the Occident, and we were in mini-jupe before the others, and we have all the cafe and English now.
In English now.
We have Starbucks and everything. Even when you have an idea here in America, we have it in Lebanon.
Before that.
Before you execute.
Before you have the idea.
No, just after. But for me, it was like a moment of éveil. يعني وعيت من النوم.
Awakening.
Yes, awakening. Because a girl like me, it was very pleasant to my family and to my society and cousine and cousin if I write in French. So now they don't read me. They tell me, we are looking for the translation to France or to English. And it's a tragedy. It's a tragedia.
It is.
Because one of the very big problem on this Occidental world, Oriental world, it's to like an like an Occidental. So we lost too many things, but for me, because I have lived my country and my people, the choice of writing in Arabic become like my land, my country, my buzz. Without the Arabic letter and the Arabic phoneme, like when I'm very angry, I have to use and it is not exist in France because it is really the language of my body. So I have write already something in France for the conferences, for the press, for the collective لا كتب collective
Reviews of books.
Anthologies, yes.
anthology or the collective books around one thema, and it's easy for me. But Arabic is, I have to, every word I write témoigne, أشهد يعني porter témoignage how Arabic is beautiful. And when I feel that the Occidental world are afraid of Arabic, I went more and more for Arabic. You know, in France, when you are in the metro and you have an Arabic book, everybody make like this. And
Just move away from you.
no, يعني carefully move away and start to look at you. Bon, it is not very dangerous because I'm not niqab. I'm not wearing niqab, but I still not a very clean person. And when you went somewhere with your children, they become some server.
Ostracized يعني بيكونوا خارجين الأولاد.
لا قصدي الجرسون le garçon yes
waiters.
يعني have some style to talk with you. It's not like the others. So it's like a struggle every day. And when I had an habitude, I'm not Muslim, but I have an habitude habit to when I'm very مطروبة بالغنى مثلا.
When I'm very ecstatic, especially
Yes.
with a song.
To tell Allahu Akbar. So, yes, of course.
So here's a Christian
Or when
saying
I'm
Allahu Akbar.
no, but it is very common. It's in my family.
Second nature.
Yeah,
Very common.
it's very common for the Christian either. And when I'm very angry with my son is Muslim, but I'm not because my husband, he is not a Muslim, he is not Christian. My son is nobody, no religion, no. But I use this Allahu Akbar. When I remark that the other, when I say Allahu Akbar, the other, they start to think I'm Iranian. Yes. And they start to, let's be fun a little because it's tragic terms. Once I was in Italia, in Italy, making شو بقولوا سيمينار على تجربة الكتابة.
Seminar on the experience
A
of
workshop.
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 And they at the end of the workshop there is a very big conference, and when they ask me why you speak, always everybody ask me, you are very good in English, why in France, excuse me, why you don't write in French? And we have to traduce. When you translate, منين جايبتها traduce؟ معلمني إياها. And when I try to explain, there is never the same book I can write in Arabic, and in French it's going to be another book because I have a language. I use the language I have. So if they translate, it's very good. If they don't translate, je m'en fous.
And I can also, some of you know that Hoda's writing in Arabic is superb.
It's beautiful.
The kind of Arabic that she writes in is really fascinating. She creates new imagery, new words. She opens new avenues for thinking by just putting two words together. It just opens a whole new world. She makes you think. I always tell her, I think this is, the best thing I can really explain her writing. She makes you think and takes you to new world, and you're ecstatic in them. So it's a really wonderful experience.
Thank you, Hanadi.
Read her in Arabic, and your focus actually on the Arabic language itself brings me to my second question, and it deals with translation. Since you mentioned translation, how would you characterize your relationship with translation? Are you kind of, ambivalent towards it, but do you think it's a necessary evil? Do you think it makes you suspicious sometimes if it is?
It is not really evil because every time you are translate in one language, you have the impression that you go travel to another world you don't know. And normally when you are translate in one language, the publisher invite you, and you are received by people you don't ever meet them, and you don't know absolutely know their language, but you feel that like you have a home in this country, and you have relations, like صداقات.
Friendships. that you make
Friendship.
with unknown people.
Yes, and you once يعني مرة زيادة.
Once more.
You feel that we are wonderful when we are
The things that, you know,
نتشابه.
when we're similar.
Where we are similar. Maintenant, now I can only collaborate on the French translation because I don't know the other English. No.
Or other languages.
The other languages.
Yes.
But when I meet the translator, after one coffee and some questions about my work, I can really see if we have the same sensibility. And it's is the thing, the most important, to have the same sensibility, literaire sensibility. And other ways, if this word not exact or the other, every time you are translate for one language, you're gonna last. You're gonna last maybe 10, maybe 20, maybe, and it's depend from this other language. There is some languages, they are like sisters. And some other languages with the Arabic, they don't love each other. You have to be make too much effort to get it from Arabic to
Foreign languages, other foreign languages.
حسب.
This is a part of my second question. Who reads novels in the Arab world?
Now there is some readers on the Arab world. It is not with the proportional number of the citizens of Arab world, but it became more and more يعني possible. And now الشباب شو
The youth.
the young people
Young people, youth, yes.
the youth ما هي صعبة youth ما شايفتها بحياتي.
Young people, not youth. Okay.
The young people now are very interesting to reading novel. So it's أحسن من القبل.
Better than before.
But even in the Arab world, even if you are a very big writer, you cannot live with the
Of your money, of your publication.
No, impossible, because there is not enough readers.
Since you talked about writing, I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit about how does the author know when to start the novel? You know, you talked earlier about that obsession that comes and talks to you. So when do you know that this is time to start? And also, when do you know that this is done? And also, this I just thought about that now.
It's very difficult because every novel has a story. And for myself, I'm very بطيئة.
Slow. You can give us examples.
Very, very slow because every time I need 5 years.
Per novel.
4 or 6 or 5 to finish a novel, because I don't start to write before I have the first phrase. C'est-à-dire when it's mean when I can pick the first phrase, it's mean that I pick the language of my character, my main character.
Yeah. You channel the language of the main character, right?
Yeah, I
Feel
know
it inside.
how he gonna talk to me. And before this first phrase, I have a very big miss in my head, but it's a very, no, I'm not. It's a very beautiful
Mess,
mess, and
Or chaos, maybe I would call it chaos, right?
orchestra يعني.
يعني chaos, no, mess. فوضى.
كاو.
فوضى, yeah.
Yes, but you feel that I feel this first phrase, it's mean I have almost the 50% of my novel.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's just an impression because when you go to the second page and third page, you can change everything. And it is writing to have this extraordinary liberty and freedom to go everywhere you want.
Where the character
To
takes
have, I take them, they take
They
me.
take you,
It's very, it's something,
symbiotic.
and at the same time you have too many lives. You don't have only one life. It's very boring. So you can have 20. You can decide to fall in love with one of your characters, and you're gonna give him more life than the others, and push him to go very loin, very far. It's writing is amazing thing, but we have to make money and live, so we
Right.
don't
So you
have
have to
always.
end
No,
Sometime.
we cannot
Yeah.
always give enough time
Right,
for writing.
right.
But when you stop, you ask me. It's when you feel that the wave, it come down, and it's now if you it's like in conversation when you feel this person don't ما كان لازم shouldn't
He shouldn't.
تزيد ajouter
He should not continue. He should not.
ajouter أكثر من continuer يعني add this word. So you can decide this is my friend or not. This person not gonna be a friend of mine because the end of the phrase, it's no, the charm is broken. So you have to stop when you feel that now you and the characters are okay. You don't want, he don't want, she don't want more. And normally in my novels, the end's still open. Yes. So it's you can finish, or they
go on. They can.
Yes, or they can continue
yes.
their life
Yes. With the
out
readers.
of out of my novels.
Right.
Make their lives.
Exit.
An exit, yes. There is always an open gate, and once there is an open gate who tell you, like in my novel Disciple of Patience, that all do you have read, it's maybe not exist, never exist.
Right. At the end of Disciples of Passion, the was it the character says that or the novelist says that?
No,
الكاتبة؟
no, النوفل ما بيحكي
Yeah.
بهيدا.
The character says, or maybe all what we have witnessed, all what you have seen or read, maybe this was all a dream. It never really happened. And so you're left wondering with that open ending whether it actually happened or not, whether the character who was nameless killed his wife or not. And actually the character
His
itself,
masters.
the novel, yes, the novel mistress, exactly. The novel starts with the scene of the killing. So, and that
All the novel is constructed on this first events.
act and phrase.
I have killed her,
I have
and
killed
I'm very happy because I شربت,
Because I drank.
drink her soul, and now everything is beautiful because she is on me, and
Because she's proud of me.
he بخبر الحكاية كلها
And then he
سوا.
tells the story from his point of view. That I'm sorry if I can have a follow-up on that, because do they ever hunt you? Because I know from our private conversation you told me that this particular character in Disciples
Don't
of
talk about
Passion-
our
private Okay.
conversation. No, that's it.
well, just because this
joking.
relates to this one, you said that this particular character really troubled you. You were tired after you finished with him.
Yes.
You let him go. So do they ever hunt you, any of your characters, like poor Khalil in The Stone of Laughter, which most of us, our students, know about him?
They gonna
Do
be
they hunt
afraid
you?
from me.
Yeah, they are. No, they
No?
don't come back. Okay.
No, it's no. This الناس راح يخافوا منا يفكروا. No, it's really this kind of when you create a character and you have to leave it because the tales الحكي have to stop.
The narration.
The narration and the story has to stop because telling is not literature. Literature, it's not only telling. You have to be the character and you have to be the master of this character. If you open your psychology, it's very dangerous. You can create a character, and this character can, because he is on you, because I create character, I don't, يعني ما بحكي عن character موجودين بالحقيقة. I just imagine character. So there is some, you have to be really a writer, to have the profession of the writer to make your power on the character,
To control the character.
to control the character and the word, يعني the languages of this character. It's more important. يعني when you are writing and you are very مندمجة, involved with the characters, and maybe you start to cry and to feel not very, you have to stop. It is not when you are totally involved with the
With their lives and their agony.
yes, because you are not
In
making
charge.
a témoignage.
Yes.
You are making literature, and literature is word after word after word. It's not like have a talent and be habited يعني الإنسان يكون مسكون by the characters. No, it's to have a character and to keep it
Right.
really.
At bay, not inhabited by it. Yes.
Voila. But when you decide to stop and you look هيك لورا
You look
behind you to see when you finish what I شو عملت, what
What I have done.
have done, what I have right, and you feel sometime there is the decision to stop writing. It's not stopping from here. So it goes like with my character in Ahl al-Hawa, Disciple of Passion. He wanted to come back. And I don't want it to, it's like
Bring him back.
this person not convinced with my
Ending.
end.
Yes.
And he has more to tell me. And what is in reality? This character, it's extremely violent. So when I write it, I asked myself how violent I am. So there is the problem. Because I invite
Violence to your life.
invite something, one character he not exist, but I'm invited him from me. So I am this violent character. So I had like a pretty for myself. And because I write it in, I was already in Paris. So I had to tell myself, my God, how much they make me violent. So this was very disturbing. And I was in mind, after 2 or 3 years, the project to continue this novel.
Yes.
But everyone, my publisher, and tell me, never.
Bring him back.
You don't touch, because this novel was a very, very, very big success, and it was evaluated like a very new way to write in Arabic, in new languages Arabic, and too many studies was made on this novel, telling we had never read in Arabic something like this. So everyone tell me, no, you don't touch this novel, try to move on and write something else.
And let him be. This
But
character, yes.
really, I have this man always like beside me. And this man, it's a man, and I am a woman, but the danger matter, it's when a woman, writer woman, create a main character to push him from itself, and after that to see she is the victim of her jeu, اللعبة.
Yes.
Because
when the writer becomes the victim of her own creative narrative or technique or writing.
لعبة فخ.
Yes, trap. Yes.
Trap. You enter in the trap because if your character is a man, you can tell everything you want because you are a woman. And after that, you look to yourself and to the... Of course, when I'm writing, I'm a woman and a man, and I'm maybe the three, and the... Everything I create in my novels are me. So, attention.
Yeah. Well, the language, you mentioned the language, and it's not only the use of Allahu Akbar, you use also Syriac words, and that probably comes from your probably village background, as I imagine. So the question of Fusha and Ammiya must have must have come to you, and it's a big issue, of course, a big debate among Arab writers. The dialogue, how do you handle that? Do you write in Ammiya, or do you get away from Ammiya? Ammiya is the dialectal varieties that exist in the Arab world, and the Arab world is characterized by the diglossic situation, two varieties, diglossia.
It's a very, very big question.
And we noticed that of late you've written something in Ammiya, in Lebanese dialect, a play, that is. So what does that
Only
mean?
A play. Only the play.
Is a play, do you see it as a threat to Arab culture, unity? Do you insist on Fusha as a unifying language among Arabs? How do you think, what's your thinking about this?
I don't know. My answers come always from me like an individual. I don't theorize. Theorize?
Yes, that's right.
So, for me, before my last novel, it was the Arab language of the magnifique siècle of 11th siècle. It's the apogee. It's a peak apogee for the Arab civilization. And it was a very big siècle, century. So what I have I have done before this last novel, it was to keep demonstrating that we can use this language and write very modern things. Because on the past and now, I don't like when the Arabic writer, and especially the Egyptian, maltreat the Arab language. Because they can really, it's not important, we are not in the first century or Jahiliyyah, and be modern, it's not be weak, it's not be ignorant of your language. So I was this kind of iman, fi. Bravo, wallah. This kind of fi on me, because Arab language, it was given to me. It was not facilement donné.
It wasn't an easy.
It wasn't a gift, an easy gift.
Yeah.
No, because my Arabic was very bad. Since my childhood. نقطع قلبك.
خلصنا قربنا نخلص. That you're giving hope to all of our Arabic students now, that they can also learn Arabic, right?
So when I grew up and decide to learn Arabic, I discovered a very, very magnifique language, and I decide to write in Arabic, but this Arabic and not the other Arabics, n'importe quoi.
Yes.
So when I'm arriving to this last novel, it was a different things, because this Arabic don't really go with this novel, because this novel, it's the characters, they raconte this
The story of
Of the people of the mountains. Yeah.
the people of the mountains, these people of the mountains, and these people who said we are not Arab, we are Phoenician, Maronite, great Christian. They don't like this Arab, and no, they don't know this Arab language. So I decide to chose this character, this microcosm, but this microcosm on my village on the north of Lebanon, it's like a microcosm in all the Arab world. You can switch and it's go well.
Yes.
But my decision was they have to tell their stories.
In their own
In their own. When I pass from chapter to chapter, there is 3 big chapters. Between the one chapter and another, I have 1 page, and it's write differently because it's me.
Yeah.
I express
Right.
in the
Fusha.
little
Yes.
the Fusha I like, and this. But your question is more large. It's not the problem. It is not between the choice between Fusha and Ammiya. It's how to write this Fusha and how to write this Ammiya and when. C'est-à-dire, it's mean an Iraqian don't have the choice like an Egyptian. The Egyptian writer can make the dialogue in Egyptian because everybody بيعرف Egyptian. But the Iraqian cannot do it. And the Morocco cannot do it. And others and other. So if it is يعني إذا كان استعمال الفصحى قليل كل الكتاب العرب يقدروا يستعملوها. بس إذا بدهم يبنوا عليها كل الحوارات ويكون الرواية نص حوارات ما بيقدروا يعملوها إلا إذا كانوا مصريين. خلاص هلا من هلا وراح ترجمه.
Translate. Sometimes it's useful or necessary to write in Fusha because in order to appeal to the larger Arab world, they don't know the specific dialects. Only the Egyptian writers can actually write in Egyptian because everybody in the Arab world knows Egyptian due to the Egyptian movies and
mass media.
And mass media, yes. I'm probably going to ask you one last question and then open it to the group and see to other questions. But we will translate, and again, they can ask you even
we will see
in Arabic or French or English, any way they want. You know, you've always attempted to write history, to rewrite history in all of your novels. But in each novel, you used a different mode. For example, in The Tiller of Waters, you used rewriting history through the history of fabric. In The Disciples of Passion, the character we were talking about, you did it through insanity, kind of going deep into the human psyche to look at the insanity of this character. Kingdom of This Earth, you did it through singing. So
voices.
Different voices. Why did you resort to these alternative modes, يعني طرائق أخرى في حكي التاريخ, in telling the history? Why do you do it that way, I think? Or what is useful about that, you think?
I don't know. We don't make a choice like, it's a very good idea, I'm gonna write a novel on fabrics. It's I never know why, but the الهدف, the target.
The goal is.
target هيدا في سوبرمارشيات.
Okay.
The target is not to tell the history with the big H.
Target is not to tell history with a big H.
Because in our countries, there is no history. There is only myth. Myth. مش myth. Mythology. خرافات.
Myth.
Myth.
Okay. There is myth. There is no history. Yes.
So now we realize there is we don't have history to correct or to like the others countries. We have the history of the party. We have the history of the tribute
Tribe.
and the tribute. We have the history of the last انقلاب. شو بسموه؟
Revolutions.
Of the revolutions.
push.
Coups.
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 Yes. Yes. Coups.
Putsch.
Yes.
Putsch كمان.
Yes.
Hi Allah.
Yeah.
We have the history of comment dire, now we have the history of the imam who become to make peace, not peace, on the society.
Peace on earth.
So we have not arrived to the consensus, national consensus
Conscience.
of the
Consensus.
consensus of the citizenship. And this is why our revolution are turning in circle, because there is no static base of appartenance to be in one identity. So all the identities they compose us can eat us. Yani, I have to be, if I'm Lebanese, I have to be Christian, not enough. Maronite, not enough. With one side of the Christian, of Maronite Christian. I am Arab, maybe. I am Phoenician.
No.
It's still, no, it's not me. I know what I am.
Debatable.
But the debate is we have no one single point. Definitely we can يعني
have an
نعتمدها.
agreement. Consensus. Consensus.
So it's the same on the all Arab countries now. For the Egyptian, it's pharaonic or Islamic or Egyptian or يعني or Sunnite or Shiite or how with what, if you are a Sunnite, with what branch of Sunnite,
Of the Sunnah
because
are you?
now
Right.
there is too many branches.
It's all these identities that divide people but not unite them, right?
Voilà, absolument. So when you try to write history, you try to casser,
To
Break.
cut across.
to
Break.
break myths. You are not really.
You're breaking the myth.
Yes, you try to break.
Break the myth. Yes, thank you. Perhaps we should open it to the public for questions. And like I said, I just would like to remind you to please state your name and your question. And Siri will go around. Just
First, really, it's a big pleasure to have you around. Not only the department, but to have you as a person also, really. It's a big, really delight. My question, okay, I'm going to say it in Arabic first.
your name.
I'm sorry? Okay. Anyone that doesn't know me? Okay, my name is Sawaie Mohammed. Okay. أولاً ممكن أقول, can I say it in Arabic first for her or just
yeah.
No,
to-
I
yeah,
understand
yeah.
English.
Well,
ما
English
طالما
is fine.
بتستخ-
Okay. All right.
طالما
Okay,
عم بحكي
Are you aware of any university in the Arab world that actually use any one of your novels in the Arabic literature programs? That's short one too. Yeah, and because I know I was actually in Yemen and I looked for your novels there and they were not there. So I wonder about other really Arab countries, bookstores, stuff like that. Question number 2. I mean, your style of writing is really very sophisticated. It's not crude or direct. But the notion of failures of the state, the notion of failure of the protection for minorities, for guarantee for citizenship permeates your work. I mean, somehow we could say this is just for Lebanon, but I could also apply it to Yemen, to any other society.
course.
Am I in the right track to read you when I say that or not? Okay. So can I just say one more question and that's it?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you choose the title of your fifth novel, Malakut Hadha al-Ard, as a variation of actually the biblical expression that is Malakut Hadha Samawat, right? Kingdom of heavens. Right?
kingdom of
The
this
idea, yeah. Was there any particular reason
course,
like that?
of course.
Thank you. Shukran.
Thank you. Thank you, Saad. In fact, I'm not a popular writer. I don't شو يبيع sell. I don't sell too much in the Arab world, but I'm for the level of my writer, I'm very happy. يعني يعني قطعت الحاجز يلي فيه الكاتب يلي مش شعبي كاتب منعزل يعني أنا كتير بقرأوني.
I moved to the realm where people read me on their own. So I moved to that other realm of popularity. I don't have to have the sales to prove
يعني I sell very much for my writing. يعني I have the chance to be very appreciated and very well present. And maybe my very big pleasure it's on the circles of the young people. So on Yemen, in Yemen, I know they read me too much, and I have thank you for them, but maybe they don't have regularly my books on the bookstores, but this is totally another problem. It's a problem of distribution and circulation of the Arab world. About your second question, yes, and yes, I am. They teach me on the university and on the college, not all, but they teach me. They teach. My books, my novels at the university, and they
write dissertations
on it,
right.
And it is, and everything. With me, there is some phenomena I cannot explain, because on my first novel, The Stone of Laughter, I use a surat from the Quran. It's a surat,
from the Quran.
Surat Joseph, to describe a love from one man to another man, and it passed. I never be censored by the very religion Quran.
It's true.
I think.
It's still not, nobody
Still
talked
not,
about it.
and still not.
Yeah.
And this first novel has the very, very big success on all the Arab world. One, because it has a very big price, and the second is because it was very new style. So it was the romance of not an androgyne but an homosexual man, and talking about loving another man, and take the surat to tell how much this beloved men are beautiful, like Joseph in the Bible, but you have to
The Quran.
you have to يعني read it to say how much I'm not تعمل إثارة.
Exciting.
I'm not using it in an exotic way, in a way
No.
that is disrespectful.
It's really a very big love and with not إثارة
Not being
Excitement.
Yeah,
not to make an excitement or and always
Sexual arousal.
يعني it is maybe sexual but it's not pornographical
Right.
or you know. So until now in the different Arab world they
has
never
not been banned.
no
Has not
and
been
this first novel was يعني أعيدت طباعتها بنسخ شعبية في كل هيدي البلدان العربية.
Yeah, it's been reprinted in popular editions in most Arab countries. It has not been banned, even though this was the first time an modern Arabic novel talks about a homosexual character as its main character. Ever since Naguib Mahfouz in the 1948 had a secondary character in his Midaq Ali, which was the biggest deal then. So we have all this gap. This is kind of like filling in until Hoda then wrote this novel with Khalil, we're talking about him, as the main character.
Not
never
only
been
the
censored.
main character, it's a character who he is not punishing. يعني مش
Not punished, he's not
punish. He is not a negative character. There is no God or law or gonna punish him.
Nothing happens
He
to
is
him.
no. He become at the last of the novel. Bon, we
It's a different
don't
one.
gonna.
Yeah, what she meant to say, the stone of laughter, what she meant to say is that this character is never punished for his homosexuality at the end. Because usually you have characters who are brought up, but then to allow it for the censor or the public to accept it, then that character has to be killed or punished somehow for that act, males or females in that way. But he's the first one whom, and if I may add, you know, the reason why we identify and love Khalil so much, because we see him as a person, we identify with his love, irrespective of whose his passion is for. And in fact, we don't even know about his sexual orientation until almost the middle of the novel, and I think that's part of the success as well. Okay, other questions? Thank you, Huda. The video, yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much to all of you, and especially Ustada Huda for coming and joining us. My question actually, I heard something on NPR today. As some of you may know, we lost a great actor and an artist, Philip Seymour Hoffman, yesterday, who died too early at the age of 46. But I was listening to a 2008 interview with him and one of the NPR staff on the radio this morning about the movie he had recently done at the time called Doubt, which was about the Catholic community in New York in the 1960s. And he plays the role of this very charismatic new priest who wants to liberate society and bring these new ideas, but he's met with a lot of resistance from the local community. So a controversy emerges over whether he is having inappropriate relations with a young boy in the school, and the whole debate through the movie is he or isn't he? And at the end, we don't know. But in the interview, Hoffman says that in speaking with the playwright, he learned enough to, in his mind, enter the character of the parish priest and say, yes, I know what he did in his history. So my question for you is, as the author, do you know more than we do?
No.
No?
No.
That's a good question.
It is a very good question because be the writer, it's not being like God, يعني very puissant créateur, like a God creator. It's you have with the character a commitment, like a brothership, brotherhood.
Yes,
ولا
it's good,
brother-
it's good.
Fraternal.
It's good.
Yeah.
And no, you dialogue with what you consider like a force of the human being. He does not really exist. So you don't ask yourself if you know more than him or her. You both know a little about the human being, and you are both here more to telling stories and to make questions more than telling the truth and giving the answer about the human beings. It's like an echo of your يعني
Yourself.
yes, what it bother you, your obsessions, how do you feel the other people. You can go on the street and you see someone and he seem very upset and nervous about something. You don't go and tell him what is bother you, but you create some in some way in your mind someone he seemed like this man and with who you can dialogue
With who
or
you can
listen to her voice. It's not the writer, me, like I am the kind of writer, I'm not pretend have answers and keep it away from my characters. There is no answers in all our lives.
No, one
no
answer, at
يعني
least. No strict answer,
هيك
yeah.
انه تكون حقائق ما نهائية.
Bilal Ma'naqi, thank you for coming, Ustaza Hoda here.
Thank you,
I have a
Bilal.
question about when you write. Do you write in Lebanon? And if you are away from Lebanon, is it a different experience writing about Lebanon? Or is it different when you write about Lebanon in Lebanon? And who's your favorite writer?
I don't have يعني I don't have a favorite writer because it is cyclonic. يعني I can
It's cyclical.
cyclical. Yeah, I can love someone very يعني I'm very deeply and I'm attached and I keep reading and reading his books and 2 years after I can
Fall out of love.
So who's the new one?
the very new
Who's the new
one,
book in your life?
the very new now, it's Al-Ayyam, the Taha Hussein, because this book, I have read it maybe 10 times, and he never fall out of my love. So, and my beloved are not always Arabic.
Who amongst the European writers or that you like, or American?
I have a very big masters, and I like
Such as?
Musil because I have to read in French. I cannot read in English. No, they are really so many. Yani so many. It's depend. It's like a music. When I'm writing, I choose some music. I cannot hear this music with another kind of writing. يعني
It's a
maintenant now for
the Lebanon question.
Lebanon question, my 2 first books I have write it in Lebanon, but when I come to France, I cannot respond to your question because I write always away from Lebanon. But I cannot know if I was still in Lebanon, if I'm gonna write the same novels or not. But I know that I still have Lebanon كمكان, like a space, because I think because I live Lebanon, I still write on Lebanon and in Arabic, and I think the distance with Lebanon make me more radical and more courageous, because I want this. I never forgive losing Lebanon. So I want to get it back, maybe still write on Lebanon, because my Lebanon does not exist anymore. And when he go far away, I still get it and push it close. And until now, I don't have any desire to write about France or about Berlin or about every land. Give me more desire and experience, of course, but more desire to tell Lebanon, to stay Lebanon, in Lebanon, and from Lebanon to go maybe very far from Lebanon, but I have to start in this morceau of land.
Space
Yes,
of land.
space of land.
And can I add something about this? I mean, this shows very, very clearly and deeply in Rasail al-Ghariba, the letters of the aliens' letters. I mean, it's amazing the tension that you have in terms of the identity. You mentioned identity, and also the tension with Lebanon and about Lebanon in that wonderful book.
Thank you.
Since we mentioned France, are there
لازم
any
نجاوبوا.
French students who...
يمكن.
Oh, you
لازم
like to-
نجاوبوا.
Yeah, I'm
أيوة.
sorry.
If you want to.
Yeah.
I want to. The letter of the maybe stranger, because
Letters of the Stranger.
yes, it was.
Maybe
I was
the exile.
for the first exiled. It's politic matter
Stranger,
and
yes.
stranger. In this book, it's the first time I'm talking about me, Hoda, in Paris. But it is like a chronic. It is not a novel, or it's a series of chronic. How I
Essays.
feel be stranger. And for example, to have the desire to wake up when it is not sunny, where is no lumière,
No
and
light in
no
Paris.
light, to feel how you
Smell.
How to smell.
to smell the other perfumes of the houses, and to hear the other voices. It's even when you start to lost the Arab language of your children, and you remember what have you lost on your house, the little خصلات الشعر,
the little locks of hair,
yes.
the little memories that you had in the other home. back
And
in Lebanon.
you start when you are very really away, and you start to calculate your
Losses.
losses, and it's mean be stranger It's not because someone don't want to, you are in exile and you cannot return to your country. It's not that.
So maybe we can call it feelings of alienation in a way with your surroundings, with the Parisian.
I cannot
Space.
use alienation because it's a very big freedom to not to be in Beirut. But this sentiment of exile, I was exiled into Lebanon more than when I leave Lebanon.
Exactly.
But it is a salad of very contradictory feelings and appartenance. And when I was when I had لما انحصلت على when I have when I had my French passport, I was very sad. But at the same time, it was a very big freedom because I can get travel. And I love France. I have nothing against. And when they give me two very big
awards,
مش awards, هيدي
medals and flags.
medals, very, very high medals. I was always, because I'm not Francophone, so it was a very big matter, and I was very proud. But I never go to Sarkozy or to the other minister to put me here. I was very shame about what is, no, I don't want ceremony and because I don't feel really like French. No. I'm when they present me Hoda Barakat, Lebanese origin, I stop. No, not origin. I am Lebanese and French maybe. It's because in France they have this custom to present you when you are in France d'origine. Yani you are French.
From the origin of.
You no, I can be this the two. Yes, because one of this identity don't exclude the other.
Yes.
So I don't
inclusive.
stop to be Lebanese. I'm Lebanese and French, not origin Lebanese.
Yes.
You know. So it's like being struggle contre courant, يعني عكس التيار. Every morning you want to be Lebanese or Arab
You assert your
or
identity.
yourself. So it's always no, please, I'm not. No, you correct always. Nothing is given يعني بسهولة. No.
Nothing is given easy. It's always a challenge to try to negotiate these identities. Since we talked about France so much, we have some friends from the French department whom we promised to speak to them in French. Do they still want to speak in French? So let them
No,
ask.
there is more than you.
Go ahead. Are there more? Yeah? Go ahead, Aline.
Aline,
Yes.
la classe, elle est là ou pas? Parce que moi, je ne les connais pas. Il n'y a personne, il n'y a que toi.
Il n'y a que moi.
Ben, tu dis merci à ta tantine.
Aline Charles, I'm from the French department. Question en français. Vous avez dit que il n'y a pas de vérité dans l'art, et j'aimerais bien savoir quelle est la relation que vous entretenez entre fiction et réalité dans vos romans, du coup. À quel point vous avez envie d'utiliser des éléments concrets de la réalité pour arriver à ces témoignages que vous proposez. So I'm going to translate, just asking a question about the relationship between reality and fiction in her novels, considering that she said she didn't believe that art was about truth. So what kind of elements does she use in order to create her stories?
Thank you.
Aline, the truth.
You can speak in French.
بس ما في غيرها هي.
I was trying to relieve you from English. Fine.
No, because you're gonna be obligé de
yes.
traduire en anglais.
Okay.
No, it's gonna be rapid. The truth is not the reality. So the truth, la vérité n'est pas la réalité. La réalité existe, bien sûr. The reality is there. But the pretension to write the truth is another thing. So I take from the realities, I choose what I want. But I don't pretend to tell my readers that I will tell you the truth. I will tell you how things go in Lebanon. I will tell you the Lebanese war. Because there is some writers, they do this. Because they take one side and they defend the true, their truth. And they forget about realities. So reality is not true. Yes.
Sure. Il y a la vérité, il y a une vérité. Il y a la vérité de vos personnages aussi. Et est-ce que vous pensez que la relation entre une vérité et la vérité est importante pour justement casser ces mythes? So just the relationship between one truth and the truth of the characters, how they can help to break those myths that she was talking about.
Très importante question en même temps. Mais techniquement, il n'y a pas the truth. Ça n'existe pas. The truth is a processus. You work very hard, pas step by step. When you broke the myths, you have maybe a very little light of one true. But this true, it's relative. It's what do you try to show of what your eyes see as true. It's a témoignage. It's a témoignage à travers les personnages. Tu as plein de caractères. Donc, it's a jeu of mirrors. You and your world of characters, you are in the game of mirrors. Maybe after reading, you can see what I feel about les vérités. But I'm very careful about the people or the writers or the politician, they had the truth. Normally, they are the men of God. The truth is only on the big ideology or in religion. And I don't like ni l'un ni l'autre. I'm very méfiante about all the religions versions of true, and the ideologique nazra shamile que les idéologies présentent like a definitive final through.
We should probably stop and invite you to partake in our refreshments and talk.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You support my English. Thank you.